Is America's AAA rating at risk? Moody's is saying it is if the country doesn't get its finances in order. That has long been the view of former U.S. Comptroller David Walker, who wrote a piece in today's FT that the government has to rein in health care and Social Security costs. Mr. Walker joins us live from New York City in a first on CNBC interview. Explain the premise to us, and how real do you think the threat is that we could actually lose the AAA rating?
Well, both Moody's and S&P have said in the past that we face large and growing structural deficits that we're ultimately going to have to come to grips with. Now, that was a couple of years ago. The fact of the matter is that we're in much worse shape now. Just yesterday, the Medicare and Social Security trustees came out with their report. Medicare is going to not have enough money to pay its bills on time within 10 years. Social Security's cash flow is going to go negative within 10 years. We have serious problems, and Washington doesn't have a plan to deal with it.
You know, David, it's funny. A lot of times I get my back up when I hear this, we're going to lose our AAA, meaning the U.S. government won't back the bonds. But you know what? I think your generic budgetary points are very well put. I'm not a guy that's usually a big deficit obsessor, but these numbers totally freak me out. And what's even worse, we're going to expand health care. We're going to create a second Medicare system, while the first one is $80 trillion in the hole. So this blows my mind, and I think you should just trumpet this everywhere.
Well, Larry, basically what I'm saying is that we have two fiscal responsibility litmus tests for this year. First, what do we do on health care reform? Do we make our financial condition and fiscal situation better or worse? And secondly, do we put together some type of an extraordinary process that will enable us to achieve the grand bargain that President Obama says he wants to on budget control, spending constraints, entitlement reforms, and tax reform?
I don't see this bargain. What bargain is this? All I see is lost tax revenues, soda taxes, corporate taxes.
What's the fix, David? I mean, because you yourself say, you know, we're the only modern country that doesn't have some sort of guaranteed health care. What's the fix?
Well, first, we've promised much more generous than basic and essential health care to a large and growing part of our population, seniors. We also have middle and upper class welfare going on through Medicare Part B and D, taxpayer subsidies of those premiums for well-off people. Through our tax system, the fact that CEOs get huge tax subsidies for employer-provided and paid health care, people that are in small business get nothing. We need to scale it back. We need to target back subsidies and tax preferences based upon affordability, sustainability, based upon need.
You got to have some income test by need, David.
There needs to be some type of means. There needs to be some type of means testing.
And also give the rest of the system free choice. In other words, change the tax incentives. Look, you know, it's interesting. There's a hint of this here, but they don't follow through. Max Baucus, the Senate Finance Committee, wants to lower the tax subsidies for employers. I actually agree with that. But what he's not saying is, let's give the incentive to the individuals, the small business and the individuals. Free market competition, David, will take care of that, while at the same time you put some means. They're giving 300 or 400% of the poverty level to everybody. Those are middle-class entitlements, bankrupt the country.
Well, if you talk about health care, everybody needs preventative and wellness and catastrophic protection. But beyond that is a want, not a need. We need choice on that. We need competition on that. We need to target taxpayer subsidies and tax preferences to those that are deserving and in need, not give the same thing to everybody.
David, what does it mean practically if the United States loses its AAA rating? It becomes more expensive to borrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Do we have to raise taxes? Do we have to cut spending? I mean, what happens from there?
Well, look, we're going to have a $1.85 trillion deficit this year. We're going to have $1 trillion plus next year. Taxes are going up. But let me tell you this, the longer we wait to put on budget controls, to reform entitlement programs, to constrain spending, the higher they're going to go for three reasons. Number one, math. Number two, demographics. And number three, which portions of the population are politically active and which ones aren't.
By the way, the default swaps cost of insurance are way too wide.
Yeah, there was a point at which it was more expensive than McDonald's.
I know. I mean, it's really, they've come in a little bit in the last month, but they are way too wide.
Okay.
All right.
All right, David, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Good to see you.